Hello, all, and welcome to the Mimo DeFi podcast. Mimo DeFi being the #1 decentralized application to be able to access your liquidity without selling your crypto assets. We do this through a Euro decentralized stablecoin algorithmically pegged to the Euro. Today, we have a very special guest, Peter Saddington, over at Emrit, a helium powering technology. We go into a lot of very interesting things over here. Very excited to introduce you all to him. And without further ado, let's dive into it. Peter here is a little bit disconnected as far as I can tell from DeFi necessarily, but well within crypto. So I think we're going to have some very interesting perspectives here. Very much looking forward to getting into some stuff over here. So Peter, before I kind of just go off on a little rant and start getting everyone to sleep here, I would love to just hear, I guess, a little bit of just an elevator pitch on kind of yourself and maybe go into a little bit of Emrit. I have some more kind of like overarching questions that I want to ask you, but just before we do anything else, who are you?
Well, Nick, thanks so much for this opportunity to connect. I did a little bit of diligence early on and was really interested in what you're doing. But a little bit about me, a perennial entrepreneur. I've been building businesses for the last 20 years. I've been fortunate enough to go through 2 full cycle phases of bootstrapped startup to all the way to acquisition, and then a venture funded startup all the way to acquisition as well. I built, we're going to talk about Emrit here, but we bootstrapped Emrit 2 years ago, and now we're over 30 million in rev. So I've learned how to build startups even better now. You talked about the Bitcoin Lamborghini. So I was the first person to buy the Lamborghini Huracan in 2017 with Bitcoin, 45 Bitcoins. I think it's now a $3 million Lamborghini, but that's okay. I always say that I got more smiles per gallon than most for that purchase. I have three graduate degrees. I spent a lot of time in the venture capital world. I have a $10 million venture fund, and I love building stuff and I love encouraging people. So that's a little bit about me. Right back at you.
Very cool. Awesome. So I guess to kind of kick things off here, one question that I've been getting some interesting answers to lately, especially kind of in the landscape that we're in with crypto at this point, is honestly, if you're finding someone for the first time, I feel like everyone kind of has a different entry point to crypto overall, right? And I feel like a lot of us are kind of just like deep in one chain or like one platform, and we lose sight of kind of what's going on around everything else. So then when someone is asking, hey, what is like this crypto thing? Obviously, we have plenty of people who are just totally unaware. Everyone's going to kind of give a different answer, right? So I kind of want to start off here, especially from your perspective, being so involved in Emrit and different chains and stuff like that. How do you actually, like, what is your crypto elevator pitch?
Well, I first got into cryptocurrency in 2011. I took the deep dive and finally bought my first Bitcoin at $2.52. So I have a highly biased perspective when it comes to Bitcoin, having built and invested in the cryptocurrency space for over a decade now. So for me, it's very simple. You have to get your one Bitcoin. That's where I always start. And people say, well, I've heard about Bitcoin. What about Dogecoin? What about Ethereum? What about X, Y, and Z? I always tell them the baby who started it all, the mothership that became the mothership and the rocket ship that we're all connected to is Bitcoin. It is the one that is the most anti-fragile. It's the one that's spread all over the world as a protocol. It cannot be uninvented, is something I always like to say. And people are continuing to iterate on it and grow it and continue to build applications on top of it and making it even more robust and usable and user-friendly in the future. Now, I could go on an entire spiel around Bitcoin, as I believe it is going to be essentially the meta cryptocurrency asset or index asset that all other assets and valuable ideas and valuable items and valuable things are going to be weighed up against. We're talking about gold, we're talking about silver, we're talking about precious metals, we're talking about real estate, we're talking about vanity investments like your boats and your cars, right? These are all going to invariably become, in my estimation, having been in this for over a decade now, they're going to be weighed against the meta asset, which is Bitcoin, because Bitcoin has a known quantity, it has a deflationary function to it, and we know when the last one's going to be mined in 2140. And so it is a limited asset that you can transfer anywhere. You can't transfer real estate. You certainly can't move gold bullion all over the place, but you can move your Bitcoin. And so I truly believe that Bitcoin, in its essence, is the first fundamental property rights that we have in the world, where you can completely and sovereignly own your own value, and it's a great hedge against inflation and for your future generations to come. So I always tell all of my friends, network, and family, see if you can find a way to dollar cost average DCA and get at least one Bitcoin. If you can do that, then all the other coins, have fun with them. Try Ethereum, try Litecoin, try Dogecoin, try all these other coins. But at the end of the day, Bitcoin is the one that you certainly want to get a slice of.
And why do you stick with, why are you trying to get people to one? Is it just because you like the whole number of one?
I think the whole number of, it was certainly my spiel around getting one
an accomplishment.
Yeah, I mean, it was certainly easier when it was like $1,700 a token, right? $100 a coin, or like $5,000 a coin. So it's a little bit harder now, but you could get a fraction of it. I just last week I bought some Bitcoin. I bought $2,500 of Bitcoin. Bought the dip. For me, it's the best investment that you can. The best investment, in my opinion, that you can ever do. So I'm highly biased again. So everyone out there that's listening, take it with a grain of salt. But I've been in the game for over a decade, and I've seen Bitcoin grow from $2 all the way to where it is now. So I'm a firm believer.
Of course. Yeah, I love it. So you're telling people one whole Bitcoin. I'm actually telling people 0.28 at the very least. Does that
well, that's very conservative of you.
So the reason why, if I'm not mistaken, I came across some study at some point where they calculated out if you have at least 0.28 of a Bitcoin, you will forever be in the top 1% of Bitcoiners.
Is that right? I haven't seen that study, but you know what? Doing some quick mental math, I think you're probably right. I foresee, so I'm 40 years old. So I foresee in the next 40 years, by the time that I'm dead, that we could certainly see a 5 to 10, maybe even a $50 million Bitcoin. So I know that, do your own research. It's not financial advice for everyone out there, certainly. But that's the way that I see it. I certainly see at least us hitting a 5 million, 10 million in the next 40 years for sure.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love it. And I think, I mean, basically, as long as we're talking anything about crypto, I mean, you said the word fundamental probably like 10 times, which I think is just like really hammering home just how truly base layer this whole thing is actually going to end up becoming. I would say, well, when I'm describing kind of just crypto overall, the two words that come to my mind are digital scarcity, number one, and then most importantly, decentralization, right? I think like those two things combined are probably the main pillars. What do you make of that?
I think the decentralization ensures the security of it, and I think that's really important. I think in many cases at the foundational level, decentralization is absolutely essential for the propagation, the expansion, as well as the utility of cryptocurrency as a whole. But I will also counter with that on the other side of the token. No pun intended, is that most people don't actually care about decentralization. And most people every day, you and I do this as well, is that we make a compromise every day. And the compromise is simply this: access, availability, and convenience for privacy and centralization. That's what we do it all the time, right? We say, I want speed of access. I want the ability to do this thing. And you know what? It's centralized, it's fast. And so most people don't care about decentralization, but I think that's actually a win for cryptocurrency as a whole. And the reason is they don't have to care about the underlying technical implications, the underlying infrastructure of decentralization. And that, I think, is powerful because it removes one of those roadblocks to entry. I don't need to understand decentralization to participate in the cryptocurrency networks. I don't need to understand why this secures my value. But I would assume and assert that over time, cryptocurrency investors would want to understand some of the nuances, idiosyncrasies, as well as the technical aspects of why cryptocurrency is valuable. And so, do I agree with you? Decentralization is a very primary facet of the security of cryptocurrency. Absolutely. Is it essential to know? I might disagree with you there. I think most people don't care whether things are decentralized or centralized.
So you're kind of getting me thinking here a little bit with some of the words that you're choosing here. You said investors at one point, right? And I mean, I guess anyone that is kind of diving into crypto at all, we're pretty much considered investors. But what about those that, obviously some of these coins have utility. Obviously, there's a piece of this whole thing where, honestly, if Bitcoin dropped 99% right now, I'm still going to want to do some transactions in Bitcoin, right? It's just plain efficient. Like I like having Bitcoin just for that pure reason. So if you're taking it from the investor standpoint, though, really, and this is, I'm definitely excited to ask you this, especially because you're such a startup guy, right? I mean, the VC and everything life is very interesting in crypto because it kind of gives access to those same tools to
Mm,
everybody. And I try to explain this to people, and I feel like it gets lost in many people's kind of psyche while we're going through these actions. When you're buying or investing in a coin or doing anything on any exchange or whatever, we are just our own mini VCs, right? And if we're not going into the protocol and like checking out the code and like what's actually happening here, you can really end up getting a little bit wrecked, right? You might not understand
oh,
kind of
for
like
sure.
what you're investing in. And on the plus side of that whole thing, if since you're acting as like a seed investor, right? If big money does end up coming in, and we're kind of all just like basically seed investors right now on Bitcoin, right? And like that's the reward that we're going to get. Like once the big money comes in, now we benefit from that. So if they don't need to care about decentralization, is this like the difference between an investor and a user, right? Because we're all going to end up being users at some point. And if we're just early on in here, are we just the investors and the users haven't even really come into play yet?
I you know I appreciate the bifurcation of user personas there, right? A user versus an investor. I think anyone that is interacting and engaging with the cryptocurrency, or let's just say Bitcoin network or the Bitcoin protocol, certainly is a user of that. An investor for me is someone who has a particular paradigm or mental model that they're going to invest and leverage that investment for either gain or asset accumulation. And so I would always say that most people are just users of cryptocurrency rather than investors based on the mental paradigms that they go in. So I would say if you're a Coinbase user, right? Coinbase US, or if you're a Binance US or a Kraken US user, just speaking about American users here, North American users, you're just a user. You are using a service that is allowing you to buy an asset and you accumulate it, and maybe you'll sell it, maybe you'll trade it. But I would never consider them investors, because I think that puts a different paradigm, a different model on their shoulders to say that you're going to be doing your own research. You're going to spend time doing diligence on why these tokens, why these projects are important. Let's shift gears a little bit, because you brought up this idea of investors and venture capitalists. I think one of the best things that we saw grow from the 2016 to 2017 ICO craze with Ethereum is the democratization of investment opportunity. Now, I'm an accredited investor. I have the capital to do so, right? I have a $10 million venture fund. I've been leveraging venture capital and other people's money for over 16 years, and I love it. But what's so great about cryptocurrency is now it can make anyone in the world a venture capitalist investor. And I think, and people might say, well, how does that translate? Whenever you look at let's say go to coinmarketcap.com and you look at the top 100 projects, that's exactly what you need to look at it. They are projects. They are hypotheses. They are ideas that a bunch of dudes, a bunch of gals, a bunch of guys came together and said, maybe this is going to have some utilitarian value to a retail base or a consumer market. Excellent. So they are creating a project. You have now the opportunity to invest in these projects as an investor, as a venture capitalist, as a seed participant, or even just a user or partner of this project. And so I think that's what's really great about it. You used the word wrecked earlier. I think that's the natural probably implication of doing any type of investment in any type of venture capital idea. You will get wrecked. But I think that's part of the narrative. And I think that's part of the story. I think it's part of the life cycle of what people have to go through. I've been wrecked. And I think that that learning is really crucial, especially if you move from the user side to the investor side. In the investor side, you're going to get wrecked, but you're going to learn a lot of great things. And I hope you stick in there, because cryptocurrency it's the future. It's the future of finance. It's the future of economics. And I believe, going even farther, it's the future of marketplaces.
Do you have any take on governance tokens?
Oh, yeah. Governance tokens are great. I actually let's talk about something that's been really on my heart recently with this NFT craze that a lot of people aren't talking about. So I'm going to give you some really juicy tidbits here. I've been really ruminating on this idea of NFTs being used for security authentication, right? And this is kind of ties to your idea here, is that we now have with NFTs an opportunity to own truly a mechanism in which only you can actually access systems, applications, platforms, and utilities, right? No one could ever copy that NFT password. No one could ever copy that NFT token. And so, or I see the future of NFTs, the mature future, is in security and authentication, network authentication, and personal identity. I think we can wrap personal identity up into NFTs as well, so that you are the only one in the world that actually can control certain aspects of your digital identity, your data, et cetera, et cetera. So while NFTs are a huge craze right now, and everyone's trying to invest in these NFTs who have ephemeral value, at the end of the day, you can download all of those NFTs on the Amazon cloud, because they're not actually really doing anything but being on a centralized server. So when the NFT world grows and matures, I think we're going to start seeing it in the security realm in a big, big way.
So it sounds like, for lack of a better term, just your access card to everything, right? And so how are you differentiating NFTs then from governance tokens? Or they at some point they have like similar
NFTs
utility.
can be used. NFTs can be used for governance as well. Now, you might be thinking from governance from a decentralization perspective, a network perspective, or participation perspective. Now, governance tokens and governance systems are great for that. I think we have one of the best use cases in the world that everyone can understand, which is voting and governance over voting and security over voting rights and these types of things. But at the end of the day, governance tokens governance ideas, governance projects are going to continue to grow, because in many cases, the centralized models of today are so broken. And so there has to be better ways for decentralization, cross-pollination, and access to people so that they can be part of governance in a right and fair way, instead of having one person at the top be able to say, I'm going to pull the rug. Whenever I hear governance, I have a lot of post-traumatic stress, because I went through Mount Gox, which actually I have a tweet about. I haven't tweeted about it. Mount Gox is going to be finally giving back a lot of their tokens. Right. I was part of that, by the way. So I lost some Bitcoin in that. And I was also went through
back at a discount.
No, they're set up a fund. So I'm supposed to, I have an email. I'm supposed to get some money, some Bitcoin back. I actually forget how much I lost, but I also went through the Ethereum debacle when Ethereum and the DAO messed up. And Vitalik Buterin essentially went in and centralized Ethereum. Right. He said, I'm just going to pay you guys back. And that is when I became a huge fan of Ethereum Classic, because they stuck to not only at the protocol level, at the coding level, but they also stuck to their principles. So their governance is Ethereum Classic is, I believe, philosophically living out the best example of true decentralized governance, whereas Ethereum, as we see it today, is very much a centralized entity in which we actually don't know how much is going to be created after they move over to POS in the next 2 years. So it's very centralized with a lot of red tape and a lot of, let's just say, not transparent movements in what they're doing, but that's my opinion.
So this brings up a great, exactly where I wanted us to head at some point here. We're in a interesting time right now. It's late November 2021, and for some reason, I don't know if I feel like I've been hearing about like other chains and whatnot for quite a while, but something is happening right now where there's like a little bit of a boom. I think people are overwhelmed with gas and just like finding other solutions, and they're possibly just investing into things that might not even be as sound as the kind of standards that we're used to, but just because things are cheaper, they're kind of flocking over there. What do you make of all the chains? I mean, what do you make of the chains? What chains do you prefer? I really want to get into chains here for a sec.
I mean, man, when it comes to chains, having been in this game for as long as I have, I mean, I saw the rise of EOS after Steemit. With Dan Larimer. I saw the rise of Ubik out of UK. I saw the rise of Cardano. I saw the rise of Icon, ICX out of Korea. I saw the rise of AntShares, and when AntShares became Neo out of China, right? And so I could go on and on and on. These are things back from the 2014 to 17 period, right? And I even covered the ones that have come out from 17 to 2021, right? Your new ones, your Polkadots, et cetera, et cetera. I have seen the rise of chains as a function of demand and constraints within the market. And what I mean by that is that people are figuring out that there are functions that they want to be able to do. Many of these functions are not new in the overall world, but they haven't been done on blockchain, and they haven't been done from a decentralized perspective yet. And what people are doing, and founders and operators are doing, is they are building to that need and saying, hey, EOS doesn't have what I want, or Cardano doesn't have what I want, or Neo doesn't have what I want, or Icon or Ethereum doesn't have what I want. And so they're starting to build these chains, these parachains. They're starting to build these different projects that allow them the autonomy and freedom to build what they want. Now, does this create choice in the market? Absolutely. Is there going to be one parachain, or is there going to be one chain to rule them all? Well, we already know what that is. It's called Bitcoin. Bitcoin's the only one that is not a project anymore. It's a substantiated asset within the market. Every single other crypto, and this might sound biased and might sound dogmatic of me to say, but you can blame it on my historicity in the market being in so long. But there's only one coin on the planet in cryptocurrency that is immutable and unchangeable and will not be deleted or ever removed unless the internet is turned off, which is Bitcoin. Every other coin, from Ethereum, Litecoin, XRP, Polkadot, I'm thinking about the top 10, right? If you go all the way down to the next 4,999, they're all projects. They're all ideas. They're all hypotheses. And so does it give us a lot of choice in the market? Absolutely. Is one going to rule over the other? I don't know. Are there going to be probably some substantiated chains that are going to fit a particular use case exceptionally well? Absolutely. And so that's what we're going to see in the next 5 to 10 years, is we're going to see the substantiation and growth of market sectors that chains have really figured out. This is the use case. This is the market demographic that we care about. And this is the community that supports it. And we'll continue to see those rise. Now, if we look historically over the next 50 years, what we always find over the next 50 to 100 years is an amalgamation and conglomeration of the biggest ideas, right? If you look in food, you look in technology, you look in cars, you look in any huge industry, they essentially get conglomerated into pretty much 6 to 10 owners. And so I think in our lifetime, we're going to see a lot of optionality. We're going to see a lot of ways to build really, really cool applications. But probably by the time we're dead, there's probably only going to be about 10 or 12 that are really going to rule the world. And by that time, I'm dead, so I won't care.
Right. Well, I guess we should be mentally prepared for it either way. But
yeah.
But yeah. So so everything being a project except Bitcoin, it almost makes us there's an interesting kind of calculation to be done here, where if everything is a project, and I guess it would be a little bit useless to try to get into the head of Satoshi, right? But I mean, sometimes I wonder, are we getting distracted, right? I mean, like, I don't know. What do you make of like did Satoshi foresee everything else coming? Like, were we supposed to repurpose Bitcoin's tech into thousands of other projects? I mean, like, was that, are we going about this correctly? If we're not, and then everything does just get kind of like sucked back into Bitcoin, right? I mean, that's like one, I guess what a maximalist might think, right? I don't know. What do you make of that?
Well, I think if we go back to the 2008, 2009 white paper by Satoshi Nakamoto, he said that this is a peer-to-peer cash, right? It's a cash system, digital cash system.
And people don't like that, because then they say like, oh, if this is a base layer, then I can't actually just like transact very easily like it would be cash. Like, we need that layer 2. And then some, obviously we're saying that like, oh, Satoshi like planned for the layer 2, like it's fine. Please.
I don't know if he planned for it, but if you look in the white paper, I think there was very much the tone that there was going to invariably be expansion and utility from the community itself. Whether one could say that he architected kind of the mental models around what that should be, I think that's probably reading too much into it. But remember that the cypherpunks at the time and the kind of the hackers at the time were really intrigued by this as a mechanism to kind of circumvent centralized systems as well as governance systems at the time. And so I don't think he fully understand, or actually, I don't think it's a he. I think it's a group of people. But because I've looked at the code, if you look at the code, you'll see that at least in my opinion, if you look at the code, it has 3 particular coding vernaculars and in different ways of building it out. And so that tells me as an engineer developer that there are 3 or more individuals that participated in the substantiation of Bitcoin. But anyway, I don't think they had a full idea of what was going to happen. when it comes to cryptocurrency and the expansion. What I think is the thing that we can be most thankful for and grateful for is they built it as a protocol, which, like the internet, I always say this all the time, the internet is expanding to every corner of the globe every minute. And invariably at one time in the future, every single person in the world will have access to the internet. Bitcoin being a protocol, which can't be uninvented, it can't be removed or deleted, likewise will continue to expand to every corner of the globe. And so that's why I think it's so important for everyone out there listening and watching that you should get a slice of this pie. What I think really innovative engineers have done is they said, Bitcoin is a really powerful base layer. How can we expand and expound on this idea so that we can create utility? And thanks to all of the entrepreneurial minded individuals who said, I can do this. I can build upon this. And so we've seen so many new layers added to Bitcoin, right? We have Lightning. I could go on and on. We have so many ways of transacting and engaging with this system that it really is that base operating system. I was having a conversation with a guy, I think early last year, so not too long ago, but kind of long ago. And we were deep diving into some of the tech specs around the Bitcoin code. And one of the things that we really appreciated was the extensibility of Bitcoin and the fact that people now today, and one of the examples we gave was kind of like Linux, right? Bitcoin's like Linux. It just freaking works. But at the same time, people have created second layers and abstractions of it and being able to build upon it.
No one has any idea that their Mac is running on Linux.
Yeah, right? Yeah, it just works.
Every single server, basically, right? I mean, is just free and open source software. No one, and you're right, actually bringing it back all the way to the beginning, no one cares.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares. They just want to get a slice of the pie. The government wants to get a slice of it. And I think for anyone who is well-intentioned and wants to have a diversified portfolio, you got to get some Bitcoin. That's it.
I love it. Okay. I've got one more question here until we kind of go into a little bit more of Emirates stuff, but
sure.
How kind of going back a little bit, because I got a little sidetracked here, but I did want to ask, if we are all our own VCs, what are some of your top kind of due diligence on projects? Like how do you know, just what are you doing there?
So I'll give you what I told my 10-year-old daughter. So my 10-year-old daughter started mining cryptocurrency at 8 years old. She started investing in cryptocurrency at 9, obviously through her dad's account. And so we had a really simple deal: was if you save up your money, I'll just match it. So we started off with $900. She had 450, so I matched it at that. So basically $1,000. And she's learned and grown through that experience over the last year and a half, 2 years. Now, what are the 3 principles I gave her? Number 1, find a project that resonates with you. Find a project. We're looking at this from a perspective of an investor, not a user, not a FOMOer, not a Shiba Inu, pump and dump. We're looking at this from a investor perspective. And so a venture capital is an investor, and an investor is an investor. And if you look at it from this vantage point, 3 principles I told my daughter. I said, number 1, you got to find something that resonates with you, because if you're investing in it, that means you want it to succeed, not just make money on it. And so part of that thing that needs to resonate is this something that you feel like you can use? Is this something you truly feel can provide value not only to your own life pragmatically and realistically, but has an opportunity to scale to other people like you? And so we went through a really powerful exercise with my daughter at 9 years old, talking about, if you're looking at this project, how do you think it could help you? And then I asked the question, how do you think it would help others? Are others like you? And she said, yeah, I think this is a project that would help me, and I think my friends would like this too. And I said, well, maybe that's a good reason to invest in this. So number 1, it has to resonate with you. Don't just look at the price. Don't listen to all the YouTubers that are like, buy this shit coin, because I heard about it. Really do some diligence. Number 2, find a token that you believe that you can get excited about talking about to others. And I think this is a really powerful thing, because now I'm bringing this in because you brought in the VC context. As a venture capitalist, I will never invest in a young blood, a young entrepreneur, an operator, if I'm not excited to want to tell my other venture capital network or my other network about them. If I'm not, if it doesn't resonate with me at a deep level, And as well as the fact that it excites me to talk about it to other people, then I know that it's something that's worth my time, worth investing in, because I'm now going to be participating in the success of this. And I think that's what real VCs do, not your BS VCs, which I spent 20 years working with, who just throw money at you and don't actually help you. And you've probably been exposed to some VCs that are like that too, that just graduated Harvard or Stanford, and they think they can tell you exactly how to run a business. I'm like, bro, you haven't run anything in your life. So it has to be something that resonates with you. It has to be something that you're willing to communicate and learn to communicate about. And number three, what is the exit plan? What is the exit plan? Are you going to be, do you want it to go from $10 to $20, sweetie? Do you want it to go to $10 to $50? Do you want it, do you want to wait till they release their first milestone or their main net? Like, what are the things that you're going to be looking forward to, that you're going to be making decisions on to either exit or help promote or grow or get involved in? And so that really is the third part, is, are you willing to potentially get involved a little bit more? And so my daughter started tweeting at these, and no one responds to her because she's a little girl, but she started tweeting at him. And I said, if you like the project, email him. She has an email through school. And so she emailed, I'll give you one. She really liked polka dot, mostly because of the colors. So she invested in polka dot, and I had her email one of the founders. He didn't respond, but it was a good opportunity for her to get deeper into the investment experience and learn how to become a responsible, young tween adult of sorts. So that would be my three main things as a venture capitalist investor looking into stuff. Does it resonate with you? Is it something that you want to talk about? And number three, is it something that you want to participate in? I think if you can knock on those three, then the money will come. The money will come.
I think going by color is probably a pretty good strategy.
Yeah, for a 10-year-old, yeah, for sure.
I was talking to a very close lady in my life. She actually, I've been, of course, just talking about crypto nonstop, and I couldn't tell if she was entirely joking or not, but she did tell me like, oh yeah, I'll just like buy something based on my nail color. And at some point I was like, well, I hope your nails were like red at one point. I don't know, because AVAX like totally jumped up, and she did. And it was like totally random. I mean, like, this is just like, you hear back at the Wall Street stories where people are just like throwing darts at the dartboard and just like totally striking gold. But yeah, that's awesome. I'm very excited to see what your daughter is going to be up to in the next couple of decades. Geez, she's going to be wiser than all of us.
Well, she just liquidated her account of $6,000 of value so that she could buy a brand new MacBook Pro. So she's doing pretty well with their investments. I'll say that.
I like that she's taking some profits for herself. That's perfect.
Now she's streaming now. She got the rig to do it. So it's really cool. I mean, I think getting anyone in, if anyone's listening to this, and if you have kids, get them in early to cryptocurrency. It's a non-aggressive way to learn about trading and, most importantly, money, because none of the schools out there train anybody on money. And so that's something that, as a parent, you can certainly be a powerful force in your kids' lives by teaching them. I actually have a question for you. Just rose up in my gut here, Nick. How did you learn about money? Did your parents teach you? School certainly didn't. So how did you learn about money, and how'd you get into crypto?
It's a great point. I think I was probably just very always wanting, right? I'm like very, very probably too ambitious for my own good, right? And then I was like a musician back in the day. I mean, I still am, of course. I dabble here and there, but I was basically focusing on like everything that just didn't make money. And I was like, I'm trying to have a little bit more fun. I want to do like some bigger things and enjoy myself a little bit more and make I really want, I mean, I love politics. I love the idea of kind of this whole community aspect of crypto is very interesting to me. The whole idea of just governance and all this. I basically realized if I'm going to do the things that I want to do, I'm going to need to make money, right? And so I think that was like that was one factor of making money, and then I had to manage it now, right? And I mean, my first step into Bitcoin was actually after I was a little late bloomer here, I guess, but I'll just use my age as an excuse for that. But it was after the 2017 crash, and I guess we were into 2018 at this point. We were maybe like hovering around like 9K, and then it dipped again, like really hard down to like 3K, and then it chilled there for like a while. And that's when I don't know what it was, something about everyone being in disarray. I was like, let me just scoop some of this stuff up. Of course,
that was the best time. Oh man.
Of course, looking back, I feel like an idiot. Why didn't I just buy a dozen, right? But at least I'm very proud of the entry point, and I think I honestly still haven't necessarily experienced a crazy bear market yet, right? So I think that's then again, no one really has.
You're bringing back such great memories, dude. I scooped up so much at 4,500. Those are just such good prices, man. Oh.
And then, of course, the COVID crash. I mean, that was just like, if anyone was paying attention, oh my God, you had like an hour of like beautiful sale right there.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So that's the thing. Learn about money, teach your kids about money, get educated on it, cryptocurrency. And just speaking about your journey here, Nick, I mean, you dabbled in things that don't make money. You're literally in the best industry on the planet, spoken from a highly biased guy who's worked on it for a decade plus. But I mean, this is the best. It's the future of money. It's the future of commerce. It's the future of marketing. It's the future of how the markets engage with the traditional world. It's the future of PR. It's the future of the expansion of content creators, right, that are just creating content for crypto. The expansion of communities. I mean, the expansion of venture capital just since 2018 till now is as 2018 when it really started booming, is institutional money. Like, bro, like, come on, Nick, you're blessed, man. You're in crypto, baby. This is the best place to be in on the planet. I'm never going to leave this industry. I dabbled in consulting. I dabbled in hardcore dev. I dabbled in other things as well. But man, cryptocurrency for an engineer, operator, venture capitalist in me. Oh, Nick, baby, this is it. This is it. Stay here.
I mean, you were saying like it's the future of this, the future of that. It simply so truly is. And I hate to like sound cliche, but I mean, I don't know. I guess it was like a decade ago at this point where Andreessen Horowitz sent out that post that like everyone still refers to this day. Software is eating the world, right? You remember that?
Yep, of course.
If software was eating the world, crypto just swallowed it all right now, right? Like we're just like it's insane to me how like. Even like after reading that, I mean, I was an iOS engineer, right? So I was like deep in like coding and stuff like that as well. And I was like, yeah, like this is like totally the ticket home. Like, oh my God, tech, programming, this is it. And I would be very conscious of like, wow, software really is just like, it's crazy. All the automations, everything, like software is just like really eating the world. Like they were totally right. And then crypto came along, right? And like just totally boomed. And I was like, I didn't even know what eating something up was like until you just saw this just get entirely swallowed. And I think it's things like, the crypto.com arena, like stuff like this, like money has just not moved like this. I mean, I don't know necessarily, right? But I mean,
we are at a very distinct point in time, Nick, of the convergence of absolute market need from consumers. Dollars, fiat currencies are being inflated and devalued. So the market utility demand is growing. The unrest from the political realm and centralized figures and centralization, top down, laws and regulations has hit a tipping point. Accessibility to cryptocurrency exchanges, two ways of to be able to exchange. All you need is a cell phone and an internet connection, and so you have this convergence of accessibility, utility, and value, market demand, and market frustration. And so we already have, as a fourth prong, already the use cases to substantiate the validity that this is actually real and working. How do we know? In 2004, there was a company called Blizzard Gaming who created World of Warcraft and ended up creating $1 billion macro economy in there with gold. And then we ended up having gold farmers. And now what do we have now? Fortnite, over $1 billion digital money ecosystem in which just 3 years ago, if I remember correctly, my niece, who was 14 at the time, she asked me for a Christmas, because I get her Christmas presents. She said, instead of getting me a Christmas present, get me V-Bucks. I'm in crypto and I didn't even know what V-Bucks were. I was like, what's V-Bucks? And she was like, it's in-game currency for Fortnite. And so that when she told me that my 14-year-old niece, right, this is the next generation that cares about this. When she told me that she wanted $150 of V-Bucks instead of like Amazon gift card, I immediately went into this deep dive mode of what is this economy like?
Right. Like that's as good as cash for her. So like that means a lot.
Absolutely. So you tell me, are the digital Netzians of tomorrow, the 14-year-olds that are today, the digital Netzians of tomorrow, are they going to be using digital cash and digital payments in different networks because that's what they grew up on? Yes, absolutely. So are you and I in the digital cash world building applications and creating really cool shit? Yes. Should we stay here? Absolutely, because this is what the world's going to need for the next 50 years.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess I don't know, we're moving very fast right now. Do you see it slowing down or just getting speeding up?
No, because utilities, SDKs, no code, the rise of no code, the ability to build mobile apps. Like you said that you're a ex mobile app guy. Well, we don't even need you guys anymore because there's no code solutions that can literally build the entire thing, from a WYSIWYG, just a GUI. And so, are we moving faster? Absolutely. We're in the next 10 years oh, Lord, I'm so thankful, Nick, that I'm in crypto. I was in crypto in the early years and the painful years, and I'm going to be in crypto for the next 10 to 2030. In the next 10 years, we're going to see the most expansive and explosive growth in digital systems, digital payment systems, digital network systems, security, governance systems, file sharing systems, communication platforms, as well as enterprise SaaS-based solutions that are all going to be leveraging blockchain or some type of distributed ledger with different governance as well as security economics behind it that ensure the growth and expansion of even more tools and systems and games and productivity apps, and essentially an entire entertainment industry will grow from it as well. So yeah, are we going to be moving faster? Absolutely. Should you be divested into multiple awesome projects at this time for the next 10 years? Absolutely. You're going to make a shit ton.
Yeah, no, I love it. And I think we're pushing crypto quite a bit here. I mean, obviously it makes sense. We're a crypto cast here, but over at Mimo, we are certainly hiring. Peter, I'm sure over at Emirate, you guys are hiring as well. And we're always interested in meeting stellar people. So if you're listening to this and you're not quite in it yet, hit us up. I mean, I'm sure, just to get a little ad in there for hiring out of the way, since we are just talking so much about it. And of course, we are truly, in a just a wild position here. And if you're trying to get into it, it's interesting too, because like with the structure of DAOs and whatnot, right? I mean, it's not a centralized environment where you get like one job interview and you just go into one person, and like how much more centralized do you get? So like we're in an interesting landscape where you have the power to kind of shine in different ways. But
I think we're now in an environment where you can truly be far more autonomous over the way that you want to live life, and because in my third book. So my third book, I wrote about this. I believe that we're moving to the MVR, #MVR world, where everything is mobile, video, and remote. And so since everything's mobile, video, and remote, you now have opportunities to do amazing things that are very much in accordance and alignment to your skill sets and your personality and your character traits. And cryptocurrency is a burgeoning market where every single facet and every single role within any traditional company is in a crypto company. So you can be a marketer or a sales guy or developer or IT or security, OPSEC, DevSec. You could be, a content writer. You could be anything you want when it comes to the crypto world, because cryptocurrency companies need all of those roles, and you can do it from distance and you can do it from home. So I actually love the world that we're in. I did not necessarily enjoy the way that it came about, but I actually love the way that the world that we're in now, because it's allowing assertive individuals to really be able to connect themselves to work that is meaningful and work that has purpose for them.
I love it. Okay, cool. We're not going over here on your end, are we? I do want to talk a little bit Helium and Emirate here if you got a few minutes.
Of course, we could talk. We could chat about it, brother.
Awesome. All right, sweet. So bring me into it, right? I mean, I guess, so first of all, I mean, listening to you speak about it, I can tell that you have quite a bit of marketing chops. I mean, it's just like you really know how to like give that hook and like really get people in, which is fantastic. And it seems to me like the main value proposition. I have been trying to get an Emirate box here in my home here for a while, but I guess I'm not quite in network enough, right? That you require
one of these. You want one of these?
it needs to be what, like 300 meters, like from another one. I guess
Yeah,
that's
Miami should be pretty good though, actually. So
well,
let me
maybe
let
you
me
can
see
bump me
let me
up
see
on
if
the
I can work
list.
any magic and
Yeah.
get you a box. How's that?
So I would love that. Yes. I mean, I got like my Bitcoin node and everything, so it would go very well next to that. So ultimately, this is powering the Helium network.
Yep.
As a result, this is kind of the main value prop is that you're able to just essentially generate that passive income, right? I mean, I hate to say
Yes.
that word, especially in this industry and everything, but it truly is just you're mining, so you're just getting it. I think some of the main problems that this is solving, and I really, I should just ask you. I mean, first of all, am I getting it right as far as kind of like what the goal is for Emirate? And then I do want to know like the main problem that you think it's solving and really how it came about and why you decided to tackle the problem.
Well, great question. We'll start off at the beginning. We'll try to make it as short as possible. But first and foremost, I seeded my own mining company in 2016. I put 700 grand of my own money up, got venture capital, expanded it out. So we were up in a place up in Kennesaw, Georgia, with relatively low electricity rates. We melted the paint the first day that we are in operation because we didn't realize how hot it would get. And so I spent 2.5, 3 years on a very large scale, multi-million dollar mining operation here in upstate Georgia. I learned a lot. One of the key things that I learned is that mining at scale is not economically efficient. Unless you have tons and tons of even more money that I couldn't get. And so we ended up having to shutter that business. So one of the problems that I wanted to solve is how could I bring, because I'm a huge promoter of Bitcoin, obviously, as you can tell here. One of the things that I wanted to solve is how can I get everyone in the world mining cryptocurrency? How can I create a retail level mining system that is easy to set up and requires almost no effort to do so? And so I learned about Helium early on. We were early investors in them when they started out anyway. So we're very close with the leadership there. And long story short, Emirate was founded by an 11-year-old boy who had a similar idea as me, and he decided to pass out helium miners. He was one of the first people to buy a bulk of 100 of them. And he passed them out, and he created an entire mesh network of helium miners in Atlanta. I was meeting with the venture capital firm at the time to be a venture partner with them and co-invest with them and these types of things. And they were telling me about this startup, Emirate. And they said, this is something that we're heavily going to be investing in as an anchor investor. Peter, you've built startups, you're in venture capital, but what do you think? You kind of have the chops, you kind of have the assertiveness and kind of the aggressiveness to help grow this into something substantial. And at that particular point in time, this was back into that late 2019, I was talking with the VCs and I said, man, I've already had 2 acquisitions. Like, I kind of want to live the easy life where I just kind of chill at home and deploy capital and just, support young bloods who want to do stuff. And they eventually convinced me to become an operator because I'm clearly sadomasochistic and I wanted to destroy my life again, working 16, 20-hour days. So that's what I did. So I joined the company as co-founder and I scaled this up. So over the last 2 years, we've grown from essentially 3 people to now over 63. We are a powerful company that is taking over the planet when it comes to these miners. And what you say is absolutely true. We have created a very powerful model in which you receive a $450 miner for free from us. We will ship it to you free. Supply chain constraints, asterisks, right? Is what it is. And we do a revenue split. We do a 80-20 revenue split. We are increasing that to 30%, soon to be 40% in the near future. And so it's going to be damn near a 50-50 split between us and the host. And all you have to do is connect it to your mobile device and connect it to your Wi-Fi, and you're immediately mining Helium token, which if you're doing any research, they're moving into 5G soon, which is going to be exceptionally powerful. And so one of the reasons why, well, there's many reasons, but one of the main reasons why I didn't just become a venture investor in this company, but became a co-founder of this company, is because Helium is one of the only projects in the world in the crypto space that actually has a tangible project. It actually has something that's real, right? A lot of the shit tokens out there and shit coins out there are all just vaporware. You don't know what they're actually doing. This Helium blockchain actually runs a real data transfer system where you can mine with a real hardware box, real value that is immediately put into your wallet, no custody on our part. And so that's what's so powerful is now people have, and I truly believe this, now people can truly become their own bank. This mechanism, and let me speak about the vision of Emirates. Part of the vision of Emirates was that we know that pretty much 80% of the world is unbanked at some level. From 50% of the world would, if we were to give them $25 a month, it would be significant. But for 90% of the world, $25 is life-changing money. And that's what I want to do, is I want to give this out to every single person in the world so that they can make $25 a month. To us Americans, to us North Americans, Europeans, we might say, 25, $50 a month. Well, it's not going to change my life. You're right. It's not going to change your life. You're going to be participating in a powerful network to grow decentralization and autonomy and sovereignty over your own value. But for everyone else, 90% of the world where $25, $50 USD is life-changing money, now I've changed the trajectory of those people's lives and those families forever. Now that guy in India who is making $50 a month USD now no longer has to worry about hand to mouth. He's got the income. So what does he do? He uses his powers, his skills, his expertise, his knowledge. He uses that to create new products and services. And so I truly believe that if we are successful in distributing to the entire world miners, where they're now creating a passive income that absolutely is true and allows them $25, $50 USD per month, I think we could see an explosion of innovation in third world countries. I think we can see an explosion of innovation from places where that money actually matters and makes a huge difference. And so I'm in this point in my life where I've been extremely successful. I've been extremely wealthy and extremely blessed to be able to do what I do. And so for me right now, I just want to give back. I want to make sure that my time and my expertise goes into helping others, my family, my friends, my network, and essentially the globe. And so that's what Emirates all about, is we want to expand the use of cryptocurrency and as well at the same time, change people's lives in doing so.
I love it. You're almost just seed funding everyone, right? And
got it, bro.
As their reward for helping secure the network.
Yeah, we are the largest distributor of hardware miners on the planet for Helium blockchain.
And the thing is probably what, 50 cents a month to actually run? Or
it's about 27 cents per month, less than an LED light bulb.
Wow. Yeah. So just about, okay. Like a light bulb. Yeah. Perfect.
Yep.
Very, very cool. I guess, so, I mean, if you don't mind, quickly, just like some of the, I mean, Emirate, obviously great accessory to Helium. What is the ticker? HNT, is it?
Yeah, HNT is the ticker, but we're not. What was interesting is you introduced the podcast talking about how we're not DeFi. We're actually deep DeFi. So our company, Emirate, is the first company in the world to have a convergence of three different markets: IoT, Internet of Things, which is what Helium's all about, blockchain, and DeFi. And so we have deeply partnered with companies and other blockchains like Planet Watch. We have deeply connected and partnered and co-invested with Algorand. So we started a $10 million NFT fund with Algorand chain. So we're deep in the DeFi space, and we're an amalgamation of all three. So I truly believe this, that we're the only cryptocurrency company that's combined IoT, blockchain, and the DeFi space. And we're creating an entire ecosystem where not only can you mine Helium for free, but you can also be able to stake multiple tokens, because we now have this box in your house. You can stake and mine multiple tokens, as well as create wallet systems so that you can immediately spend, as well as fiat off ramps into Visa debit cards. And so not only will you be able to transact with Algorand or HNT or Planet Watch or Ethereum, Bitcoin, right, all the mainstays, your stable tokens as well, but you're essentially creating a mechanism where you're mining coins for free and then you can divest those tokens into other staking mechanisms, or you can even get a loan because we can collateralize what we know that you're going to own. And so in the truest sense, one of the powerful use cases that I'm waiting for is the day when one of our users from a third world country says, Peter, I got your Emirate Cool Spot miner, and I've never had a bank account. And now that I have your Cool Spot miner, I'll never actually need to go to a traditional bank because I make enough money and I can fiat off ramp it on a Visa debit card every month. And I never actually have to touch a traditional bank. That is awesome.
So I do wonder a little bit, just a quick last point here before we, kind of wrap it up here, but being your own bank, yes, like we are huge fans of it, but to kind of recall some of your words earlier, are people going to care about that?
They are only going to care about it if it's easy to use.
I say, right. And right now it's just like the most difficult process to get anyone on-ramped onto this stuff.
Seriously, you get our miner is 4 steps. You receive our miner, you connect it to your Ethernet, you connect it to your mobile device, and number 4, you start earning. That's it.
Awesome. Where can we go to get a free miner here?
You can go to Emirate.io, EMRIT.io, or you can check us out on Emirate.io on Twitter, or you can follow me on Twitter at AgilePeter. So that's how you can connect with us.
Very cool. And I mean, is there anything you think I'm forgetting here, Peter? I mean, first of all, I think just to kind of like wrap up, really, really interesting stuff. Forgive me for kind of misconstruing that you're not directly in DeFi. I think I just get a little lost in just one chain, right? And like everything else is just like so foreign. But yeah, I mean, do you think I'm forgetting anything here?
I don't think you're forgetting anything, but I do remember your comment on people starting with one chain. I think that's natural. I think it's natural once you get into the cryptocurrency space that you become a fanboy of a particular chain or a particular personality or a particular project, and I think that's natural. I would just say in caution that there are thousands of them out there. Some of them are bad, some of them are good. Who knows? But spread yourself out. Learn about other projects and find the projects that really resonate with you that you would want to support at some level. And I truly believe there's power in that, and that not only are you putting some money towards that coin or that token, but you're putting some of your own effort behind it. Because I think in mass and in some totality of the entire community, that's what helps projects succeed, thrive, and at the end of the day, survive.
I love it. Awesome. Well, with that, everyone, thank you so very much for listening. Peter, thank you for being an absolutely stellar guest. Really interesting stuff. I would love maybe a part 2 at some point. I feel like we can dive a little bit deeper in a lot of this stuff. As always, everyone, if you enjoyed what you're listening to here, would love a 5-star review over on iTunes, Google, wherever you're listening to your podcasts. And be sure to head over to mimo.capital to open up your vault. Again, Peter Saddington, Emirate, that's EMRITE, right, .io. And you can go get your Helium-powered machine and everything else here. And without further ado, that'll be it then. Thank you very much, everyone. So long.